Hey, it's Millie, and welcome to the Generalist World podcast. This is a show where I interview people from the Generalist World community, and we talk things like the future of work, careers, predictions, their hot takes, and really understand what their squiggly careers have looked like. So if you're a generalist who feels like they're living in a specialized world, this is the podcast for you. Hi, Kath.
Hey, Millie.
Welcome to the pod. Very excited to have you here. We've been co-working today in London. We had a wonderful burrito for lunch, and I'm so excited to record this so that the listeners get to get your brilliance that I have gotten to know over the past few years. Kath, how do you describe what you do?
Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited to be here. So how will I describe myself? So I'll say I'm a Costa Rican who loves nature, who is trying to do something good for the world. And I come from an engineering background, and my goal is to use technology to amplify the good in the world. And how am I doing it right now is I'm working with startups, founders, and SMBs and helping them with the technology direction as a tech advisor and fractional CTO. And helping them learn more about technology and how to use technology to empower their business instead of the other way around.
What is it like being a woman working in tech, so with a technical background? I think you've been doing this for like 17 years. Is that right?
Maybe 20 years.
20, because I guess you did the masterclass with us 3 years ago. So plus 3.
Yeah.
What has that experience been like for you?
It has been very nice. When I started my career in tech, it was a little bit hard because not many women were in technology. And it was a little bit of a shock when I went to university for the first time and the room was full of guys and there's just like a few ladies. And then as the semester will go on, then ladies will drop out. But along the way, that was my normal, just more guys and less women. And that was okay. I got used to it. But as I started my own company or like starting working with startups, then it has been fun to be working with more women founders. For example, I still love working with guys and then everyone, right? But it's been refreshing to be working with more ladies. I also work in Latinas in Tech London as a chapter lead. And my goal is that there should be more women in technology if they want to, right? Because everyone's like, you have to go to tech. But it's more like, if you want to, here's the path. Here's what you can do. Here's what a career in tech looks like. And I feel that that's what I didn't have in the past. I would have someone like me telling me like, this is what you can do. So I feel this being in tech is an exciting career, very promising, and you can do so many things. So highly recommend it and don't be intimidated.
How do you see kind of tech playing out where it's such a wild time where now you can do the vibe coding? I'd actually love your take on vibe coding. What do you think about this? Where like you've got platforms like Lovable and gosh, what's the other one? Replit.
Coursera, there are many. So I'm very cautious about like which direction to use. I'll say that now is a very exciting time because you can experiment a lot. And before, like if you wanted to build something, you needed to have a lot of money, hire a team, and it was harder to run an experiment to test. Nowadays, with all the AI tools, then you can move faster. So I'm pro those technologies as long as you know, depending on how you use it, you can build things as a throwaway version, meaning that this will allow you to experiment a lot. And if, for example, you're a non-technical person, you can just go write a prompt and then build something. But if you're going to go and scale and have a secure platform, then you might need to change your approach or have someone with more expertise or think it through a little bit more. So it's really good to try, experiment, and it's like a superpower for technical people, but also more for non-technical people, especially because as a non-technical person, if you're working in an industry with a specific problem, you see the problem. And you know what people are doing on the day-to-day on, like, for example, human resources, customer service, and you know what are the things that are failing that you can go and fix. The not superpower for us on the tech side is that we can go and build anything, but we don't know what those problems are. So if you connect those two dots, then if you're not a technical person, or like you could be a technical person, but if you're working in something specific, if you connect those things, you're going to be innovating a lot.
Yeah. As a technical person, are there any tools that are your favorites that you're using regularly?
I like Perplexity a lot for the research part. And then obviously the usual tools like Gemini and like for the guiding and helping, especially for me that English is not my first language. Then before it was harder for me to post things because I was conscious about the English. But for example, I like Perplexity a lot for the research. Loving, there's one called Stitch, I think, which is a new one from Google to do wireframes.
Okay.
So,
not familiar with that.
And there are many for doing wireframes, but that's a new one. So it's like you put a prompt and then you can see how a screen will look like. And I like it a lot because since I work with as entrepreneurs and startups, sometimes they come to me with an idea and they say like, I want to go and build and this and that and how much it's going to cost. And I'm like, well, you need to go into detail. And then if we have these tools like creating that allows you to create a mock-up or a wireframe and flows, then it will be easier to make sure like the idea is something that people need to understand the scope and to understand like what's in your head versus what you told me. So I'm liking that one. I obviously know about Lovable and other tools, so I feel that Lovable is a huge one right now, especially because they also connected with Stripe, so then you can start monetizing as well. On the more technical side, there are like other tools for like the coding that can help you. But again, it's like I have to be very careful because if you're dealing with customers' data or like secure things, then there has to be certain guidelines and policies on how you use those technologies. So again, experiment, but
I have so many questions. Yeah, experiment, but be careful. What do you wish, because I imagine you get a lot of founders coming to you and they're like, hey, build this. This is the ultimate vision. What is something you keep saying to founders, or what do you wish that non-technical people would know about the technical side of building a product?
One thing is that now, especially because of AI, there's this hype where like it looks like you can do things so quickly and so easily, which is true. But what I tell founders is that you need to always connect business with technology first, because sometimes they get lost into like, I want this feature. And then, for example, we're building an app or something, and then they start adding more features and more features and more features on something that maybe people didn't want. And they're like, the team is not moving fast enough, or like, we're not doing this and the customers are not buying. So it's like, focus on what is it that the customer wants. And that's not really technical, right? Like, are you building something that they want? Are you building your community, your branding? But the other part is like, as you build, then I always tell people you can do two things. You can go and build in the quick and dirty way or in the scalable foundation way. So if you have clarity on how you're building, then that will help you set the right expectations for your team, for you, for your investors. So quick and dirty means that you can just go and use all the AI tools, or like even using a development team going and building something fast just to go and test and start getting traction. But as you start growing, then you need a good foundation. So the same with the house. If you don't have a good foundation, then your house is going to fall apart after you keep adding floors or bedrooms and things like that. So as long as you have that clarity, I think that saves a lot of effort and energy and headaches for technical people and non-technical people.
Yeah, that clarity is key. We're kind of going through this at the moment. We're finally getting the Generalist World website redone by a professional. And I say that as, you know, I've built it. You say quick and dirty. I have thought of this as it being sellotaped together for the past few years, where there hasn't been like the UI thinking or the UX thinking, or like it's just been me being like, I think that kind of works. And it's been so amazing to work with someone who this is their jam. This is their bag. They think about the experience of the website and they're building it from these kind of like first principles thinking. And so I think there's different stages when things are appropriate. Quick and dirty, if you just need to get something live and like the website works, you know, it does the thing.
And even for you, right? Like, because you don't need perfection, you need a way to keep iterating. So quick and dirty doesn't mean that it's bad all the time. It's more like, what are your expectations? Because at the beginning, when you put your website, then you were exploring the direction of the community, or like how to frame things in a way, where to put it. But even like if you work on like foundation, doesn't mean that you cannot use quick and dirty. Or like quick and dirty may sound bad, but like experimenting, iteration, because it could be that you have like a good foundation, like for example, back end when you're developing, but on the front end, you can go and keep switching things and it doesn't have to be perfect. So the other part in error that I see people is that they go to the other extreme. They want everything to be perfect and then they don't end up releasing anything. And so
Yeah, it's so perfect that there's no room for iteration. And then when it gets to market, they're like, oh dear, we should have done more of the experimenting. It's a balance. When you look back at your couple of decades of this experience, how much of that time has been working for a company versus working for yourself?
Let's see. I started my company 3 years ago, or like 2.5 years ago, because I have a little break. So I was in consulting, for like 16 years, working for corporate. So I had a good balance of corporate world, which was really nice. I used to go to the US a lot when I was in Costa Rica, traveling there, and then here in the UK. So I feel I had a good mixture of corporate world, how different industries, oil and gas, clothing, recruitment, communications, hard drives. So it was really fun because I wouldn't get bored. And I like traveling, so they will send me to places. So Norway, everywhere. So I was like, yay, okay. And now, like in the startup world, then it's me as a founder, but it's also like really exciting for the last 2.5 years, 3 years.
And when you were, say, in the corporate world, did you have any sense that you were a generalist, or were you working these kind of specialized roles? What did that look like?
I feel that my whole consulting career was a generalist career because I felt at times out of place. So I worked in data, search, and AI. But depending on what customer I was working with, technologies will change because we had to connect data from different sources. And like if you go to a company, they may have SharePoint, Confluence, but in another one, they will have Salesforce versus, a database. So every time that I moved to a different project, it was exciting, but at the same time, very scary because it meant that I had to learn another technology or adapt, like how would I connect the dots? So sometimes I even thought about like moving away from consulting, but I was like, what can I do? Because I do data engineering, but I'm not like a full data engineer. I can go as an architect, but then I'm losing other things. I can go as a developer, but I'm losing my consulting skills. So I always felt like trapped, and I feel that I stayed for a very long time, 11 years with one company. Well, Accenture acquired, but like within the same thing, because I was too scared to go and try it out because I will feel that I will be losing some of the skills that I didn't want to lose and that were really hard to acquire. So when I found generalist, I was like, okay, this makes more sense. And I don't need to be like in this box. And then it helped me like rephrase. And that's also why like I started my own company. I was like, okay, that makes more sense because I'm still working on the technical side. I'm talking to people, I'm networking, and I'm learning new things from the business side and the technical side. So yeah, I feel that like I'm a generalist within the tech world, which is huge. But like I obviously like other things that are non-tech related, like functional medicine, like sports and things like that. So it was like a good way to give it a name.
Yeah, that's brilliant. And you are clearly amazing at learning. As you said, you've like acquired these different technologies and different skill sets over the years. Is this like an intentional thing that you're doing, or are you falling into it? How do you think about your upskilling?
It's hard to define because sometimes I feel like, is this FOMO? Or this is me? So I feel that in general, I like learning new things. I'm very curious. My husband always says that I cannot retire because we'll probably get divorced because I'll probably be very annoying in the house. So I think that tells you a lot that I need to be learning and doing new things. Otherwise, yeah, I wouldn't be a fun person to be around. This smile would be.
Yeah.
But, yeah. So I feel that there are so many things out there. And the reason why I started technology like as a computer engineer was because I wanted to build things and not depend on someone to go and do it for me. So I feel that this adaptability and learning helps you know yourself a little bit more to see what things you like, what things you're good at, you're not good at. And because you're not good at it doesn't mean that you shouldn't try them. But so to understand yourself better, but at the same time, like how can you work towards the bigger goal for the world, right? Like how, like if I'm learning this thing, I can go and help someone, or I can create a positive impact in another place. So I like it, but I feel that sometimes I take it too much. get to the next level. So I feel that I need to slow down sometimes and then find some focus and try to work on this and then move to the next one and not being all over the place.
So you and I have both ended up in the UK. You in England, me in Scotland. I came from New Zealand. You came from Costa Rica. And I'm curious how your upbringing in Costa Rica and your moving to the UK, has that impacted your career? How has that shaped kind of who you are as a professional?
Yeah, it's funny because Costa Rica is, I was raised and born in like the countryside, so surrounded by nature, swimming in rivers, cycling in the mountains, walking in volcanoes, on volcanoes. So it's very weird that I chose the career that I chose because I'm mostly indoors. But but for example, both my parents were entrepreneurs, are entrepreneurs. They have their own business. My mom had a clothing store, but she also sell like many things. So then my dad and I had to go and assemble furniture. So then I will be like going to school but it was funny. It was not like a second job. It's like, I'll see my father assembling things. I'm like, I want to go and assemble this. And then like slowly he started delegating that to me. And I'm like, okay, that wasn't the idea, but that's fine. So then, but it's like this idea of like building things. And also my parents were really good at telling me like, I can do whatever I dream and I wanted to, but I needed to put the effort and I needed to put the work and things were not going to be easy, but to always keep dreaming big. So I feel that sort of shaped my career. And now that I look back, everything that I was saying as a kid, that's it. I wanted to travel the world. I want to speak a new language and I want to work from anywhere. I'm doing it right now. So it's like, okay, speak it into existence.
Yeah, you're in it. You're in the dream. Welcome.
Yes. Yeah.
And do you have any either like frameworks or philosophies or maybe like a life mantra that has really served you well?
Yes. So I forgot who said this, but he says things happen for me and not to me, which means that even if something bad happens or like inconvenient happens, I'm not going to take it as like, oh, why me? Why this keeps happening? Because if I do that, then I will see the world in that way that only bad things are happening to me and not to other people, good things. So I try to reframe when something bad happens. Obviously, I'll get discouraged or sad, but that doesn't mean like I know that there's something that I'm going to get out of it. So I feel that reframing has been super useful because it helps me to be positive in action and know that I can control certain things and I just need to control those things. But obviously there's the world happening and that's life, right?
Yeah, I love that. I also love on the same kind of vein that there's this idea that there aren't really good or bad things. There's just things. There's just things that happen and all we can control is just how we respond to those things. From your vantage point of someone who is working in technology, who's pretty deep in technology, who is working a lot with different founders and different startups, what do you think the world is going to look like? Do you have any trends or predictions over the next 12 to 24 months?
Yeah, it's very hard because things are moving so fast. I feel that people will be able to build more things and faster, especially non-technical people because they have that business or industry knowledge. I feel that with physical AI, now like right now AI is a lot of language models and text, but now you're seeing like the glasses, the Internet of Things, smart everything, the cars, the fridges. So that's like a whole new level where now AI is going to be learning more from your environment and can sort of simulate a little bit more like the human side or like understand more the human side. So I don't know what that will bring, but it can bring good things. So, for example, I know that Meta ran this experiment or like have this technology that they have like a hand that can touch and then you can feel the texture, like even like if you're away or like smell. So those sort of things, which for me sounds super exciting, especially, for example, if you live in a place and you haven't been to the beach and you want to smell like what the ocean smells like, right? Or like if you're like another place. But at the same time, it can be a little bit scary, especially with the latest on the video side, that you can create a prompt and then have a video and now you don't know if it's real or not. Something that I read from a book called, I forgot, AI 2020, AI 2035.
Oh,
or
yeah.
I don't know.
2045, was it?
Yeah, something like that. So it's like with deep fakes, something that this guy was saying in the book. So the book is about like short stories, like science fiction, but they're not really looking like science fiction anymore. And then an explanation of the reality. So something that I hope to see soon is that the governments or like companies are putting more efforts into the deep fake side. And they call it like an antivirus for deep fake, like anti-deep fake AI. So companies like YouTube or Meta eventually will need to start putting filters or things that will need to review if this is saying like, I don't know, certain president, or this is Catherine, this is Millie, and it's not really this person, because then it will be very dangerous and misinformation. And then, I don't know, are we going to be in the simulation? I don't know. Where are we? So I feel positive about like what people can create. We need to remember that we have a voice and we can shape and influence how things are going. But it's also hard because we all have to move fast, and we are building companies, and like if you don't move fast, then you're getting behind. So this is like chicken and egg problem.
Yeah, I think critical thinking is going to just be so important. I've seen recently, I think it was on Instagram ads, there's been this huge wave of deep fake ads where it's someone like, I don't know, call it Mark Zuckerberg, someone famous, someone quite recognizable, has been like photoshopped or like deep faked into these ads. And there's so much money going behind these ads. I don't know who's behind it, but it begs the question, like, what does this verification process look like? And as someone yourself as well who is creating content online, our voice is online, our pictures are online, and it's like, I wonder what this is going to look like in terms of protecting consumers and creators in the future.
Yeah, I feel that the cybersecurity side will be like a bigger hit right now. It always has been, right? But now like has to be the thing, because you need to protect yourself, the companies. Even like with my parents, right? Like I need to say like, they already know like, but if someone calls you asking for money and if they have my voice, or like, no.
Yeah.
Let's have a keyword or like something. Or ask my mom like, or ask my mom, ask me for something like very random that only you and I know. Like when we were kids, like, what did I do? And then
exactly. I live on this island and we have a very a much older population. And I was volunteering last year at this. We have a walled garden and we were harvesting the veg, and there was just panic amongst the older ladies that I was volunteering with, because one of them had received a Facebook Messenger scam and had sent it on to the walled garden group. And so now all of these, they'd all clicked it. And I was just like, guys, like those links, we really got to stop clicking. We've got to stop clicking those links. And it was actually really frightening, because I was like, wow, these aren't old people. Like these are people who are still using Facebook, and they're still active, they're still up and about. But the scams and the phishing is becoming so much more sophisticated that it is a bit spooky.
Yeah, and even like for example, like if you're tired, right? When you're tired and sometimes you go and review emails or messages and you can just accidentally go and click on it.
Yeah.
And then, but yeah, it's scary. And this is the part that with laws, but also like accountability for the companies providing the services, because there are many ways. I used to work for a cybersecurity company, and like they have so many things in place to like know like if the links are fake or coming from an not trustworthy source and things like that. But it's more expensive for them. It doesn't generate that much revenue, and until people are actually pushing back, or the governments, like with the EU AI Act, so there will be laws coming that will be applied, and it will be forcing these companies to do more things. But it's always catch up. It has to come from a different accountability or like a different perspective. Yeah,
sure. We are coming to the end of our wonderful conversation. I would love to end on an upbeat note, a bright note. AI security. Oh. Yeah. So, Kath, you have been in Generalist World since the beginning. You're basically like one of the true OGs. And I wonder, as someone who has been with us and has seen us grow and has seen us kind of grow up in a way, I feel like we've grown up together. How has being a part of the community impacted you or helped you in your life?
Do we have like 20 minutes? Well, I'm super grateful that you created a community, first of all, because as I said before, then it was really hard to feel that like I knew I would bring value, but it was, I don't know, different. It was hard to articulate it. But I have a lot of examples. So I met a software partner in the generalist community like 2-3 years ago, basically when I started my company, and I'm working with them still. I have a customer that I found through the generalist world because she was in the community, and then we started talking, and they needed someone through generalist world. I've had the opportunity like this podcast, the speaking event on Monday, a speaking event that we had like a few years ago. And then also thanks to that, it helped me build the confidence to go and then say like, okay, I'm going to continue doing and pursuing this speaking. But overall, the community is very supportive. And I really like that whenever you need something or like need help, there's always people sincerely wanting to help you, or like you don't feel like a weird person because you want to learn so many things. Actually, sometimes you feel like a weird person because you haven't done enough, especially when new people are joining the community. It's like, oh my God, like they have done like all this. Like when do they sleep?
Yeah. Well, it's been amazing to have you here today, Kath. It's been amazing to have you a part of the community. Has there been anything that I haven't asked you that you would like to talk about while you have the mic?
No, thank you so much for having me. Thank you for creating these spaces for people to feel safe, but also to innovate. And if people are looking for a space to connect, to explore things, to experiment, to be adaptable, then the generalist community is a great place to be. And I'm very proud to see like how much it has grown. It has grown from like 2-3 years ago. Like I don't even know how long. And I can't wait to see like where is it going because I feel that this is what the world needs. We need more connection. And through this community and other communities, we're bringing that human connection while keeping like an eye on what's happening in the world.
Thank you so much, Kath. This is fun.
Thank you.